What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Nine Innings Podcast with your host, Alec Pecano. On today's show, we're going to go over our 2025 fantasy baseball undervalued pitchers in this episode. I've got 5 starting pitchers, 6 relievers, and we are also going to go over other undervalued pitchers for fantasy baseball that I think you could get at a discount in your fantasy baseball drafts. And I hope you enjoy this video. So why don't we get started here? And we're going to start with the starting pitchers. And my first starting pitcher I think you could get at a value this year is Andrew Abbott of the Cincinnati Reds. Currently, from what I can see, from the trends, he's going 159.5, which to me signals he's going in the 14th round of fantasy baseball drafts. But I think you can get Andrew. What the heck? I think you can get Andrew Abbott at a 2-round discount. Sorry about the little malfunction there with the internet. But I think you can get Andrew Abbott in round 12 of your fantasy baseball drafts instead of round 14. And I think Andrew Abbott is in store for a big 2025 fantasy baseball year. The second pitcher on the undervalued list that I have is Bryce Miller of the Mariners. He's currently going 105.9 in drafts, which states to me that he's going in either the 6th or 7th round. And if you want to get a top of the line, he's not top of the line, but if you want to get a good starting pitcher, I think getting Bryce Miller in, you can get him at a 2-round discount, just like you could with Andrew Abbott. I think you can get Bryce Miller in the 5th round of drafts to be your second or third starting pitcher. Because if you go for one of the higher guys like Ohtani or Luis Castillo or a guy that is not on this list, and Shane McClanahan, if you go for one of them, I think you can also go for a Bryce Miller earlier on in your drafts. The next guy I have is Hunter Brown. Currently, he's going for the Astros. He's going 130.1, which signals to me he's going somewhere around the 8th round in drafts. And I believe that you can get him at a discount and get him probably toward the middle to end of round 7 if you're willing to spend up and get him as your second, maybe third option at starting pitcher. And I feel like that's a big time discount because he had a good second half last year. And I think that he's going to have an even better year this year for the Astros because they did lose Justin Verlander, and they might be losing a couple more starting pitchers too. The next guy I have is from the Red Sox is Tanner Houck. Current draft ADP right now is 167.5, which tells me he's going in the 9th round or later of drafts. I disagree with that. I think you can get Tanner Houck at a huge discount here and get him in the 8th round. as your fourth or fifth starting pitcher, or maybe depth for your starting pitching. Because say you go with a Tanner Bybee, you go Logan Webb, you go Shohei Ohtani, you go one of those guys earlier on in the draft, maybe Brandon Woodruff, maybe a Freddie Peralta. You go with one of them, and then you build your rotation in your draft like that. You could get a guy like Tanner Houck in the 8th round. 8th, maybe middle of the late 8th round. Or if you want to wait on him, you can take him in the 9th. But I would not recommend that. The next guy, and he is the thumbnail star of this video, it is Shane Baz of the Rays. Non-biased Rays fan here. He is currently going, and I feel like this is just absolutely despicable, where he's going in drafts. He is going at 246.5, which means he's going in the 16th round of fantasy baseball drafts, which is basically toward the end of your draft. Even if it's a dynasty draft, he is going toward the end of drafts. And that is not acceptable to me, to have a guy like him going that late in drafts. I think you can get him at a discount and get him in the 15th or 14th round of your draft, which that's a 1 to 2 round discount on Shane Baz, because Shane Baz did pitch well at the end of last year. The only thing I'm a little skeptical about is, unless the Rays make another move for a pitcher, or unless Drew Rasmussen is going to be in a rotation, where does Shane Baz fit in? Does he have a spot in rotation, or does he have to compete for one with a guy like Drew Rasmussen? If he doesn't, I would absolutely take Shane Baz in the 14th or 15th round of your fantasy baseball draft. And the last one is Jackson Jobe of the Tigers. He's currently going 257.8 right now, which means he's going in the 16th round of drafts. Absolutely not. I think you could he's another guy like Abbott, like Bryce Miller, like Shane Baz, that I think you could get at a premium discount in your fantasy baseball drafts. Instead of taking him in the 16th round, I think you can go out and get him in the 14th round. Oh boy. You can go out and get him in the 14th round of your fantasy baseball drafts. I mean, we're I'd have to roll on without a camera here today. Anyway, I think you could get, like I said, I think you could get Jackson Jobe in the 14th round of your drafts. And now we move on to some relievers. And we start with Devin Williams, who's going at 37.5, which means he's going in round 3 or round 4 of your fantasy baseball drafts. Let's see here. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. Let me see if I can. Back to Devin Williams. I apologize again for the delays the technical issues we are having. We will get those figured out. But back to Devin Williams. Third or fourth round, 80. He's coming off the board in the third or fourth round. I think you can get him. And yes, I know this might be a reach, but he's going to be at the back end of the Yankees bullpen, probably setting up for Luke Weaver, who will be closing out games for the Yankees. I think you could get him at a premium discount of getting him in the second round. I feel like they're undervaluing that. And there's a couple other guys on this list that I feel like they're undervaluing with the fact that they don't really know where to put him. And the next guy is Johan Duran of the Twins. His current draft ADP is 109.4. And I feel like, so that is round 8. I feel like you can get Johan Duran, in round 7 and have him be the anchor of your relief pitching in your bullpen. I really like what Duran did last year. He was one of the top closers in fantasy baseball. I think he's going to be that again. The next guy is Diamondbacks Justin Martinez, going at 185 on the nose. And that is round 12. Unless things change and the Diamondbacks sign a closer, Justin Martinez is going to get the opportunity to close out games for Arizona, for the Diamondbacks. And I like that. I like that idea of Justin Martinez closing out games for Arizona, because the Diamondbacks are going to probably win a lot of games this year. And that means a lot of save opportunities for Justin Martinez, who currently is going in the 12th round. And I think you could get him at a very hefty discount. And of the 11th round, I think you could get Justin Martinez in the 11th round of your drafts. The next guy is Pete Fairbanks of the Tampa Bay Rays, going 201.9. So basically 202, which is end of round 14 / beginning of round 15. And Fairbanks, as long as he stays healthy, and let me rephrase that, stays healthy, because we saw last year he missed 3 different parts of the he had 3 different stints on the injured list as the closer for the Rays. If he stays healthy, right now he's going in round 14 or 15 of drafts. I'm sorry, I would take him in round 10, because you're going to need closer. And I feel like he is the perfect guy to have as a reliever on your fantasy team, getting you saves, probably getting you some holds if the Rays decide to go another way with their closer. The next guy is a guy that was the best closer last year, in my opinion, in fantasy baseball, Mason Miller. They have him going at 67.3 in drafts, which is round 6. And I think you can get Mason Miller in round 5. And I don't understand why Mason Miller isn't going in round 4. Yes, I think you could get Mason Miller. He's one of the few closers that, if you wanted to, you could start your draft taking him and block anybody else from taking him. And then the last guy, and I know he's probably not going to be the closer anymore because they traded for Ryan Presley, but it is Porter Hodge of the Cubs. And he's going at 249.9, which is 250 on it, almost rounded up. He's going at 250 in drafts, which is round 15. And I'm sorry. I think he should be going earlier in drafts. I think he should be going 2 rounds earlier than that because he's going to be setting up for Ryan Presley. And if Ryan Presley implodes, which we know he probably will, then Porter Hodge becomes the closer. And right now you're getting Porter Hodge at a value he is being undervalued because he's probably going to be the 7th or 8th inning guy in that bullpen with Ryan Presley closing out games. And now we're going to look at some more undervalued pitchers. The first undervalued pitcher, the next undervalued starting pitcher I would look at taking earlier in drafts is he's a little bit down the board. We did talk about Bryce Miller. It is Justin Steele of the Cubs. He's going at 113.1, which means he is going around the middle to back end of your draft, which is around round 9, round 10, maybe sometimes even later than that, round 11. I think if you're feeling risky, because he's another guy that might get injured, due for an injured list stint, but I think that you should take him in the 8th round of your draft. And I'm going to give you 2 more names that I think are being undervalued. They're actually split up by a couple. The first one is Tanner Bybee of the Guardians, going at pick 117, which is round 8, round 6, round 7, around there, even sometimes round 8. I think he needs to be going in round 5 because you need starting pitching. And the last starting pitcher I'm going to talk about is Spencer Schwellenbach of the Braves. I think Schwellenbach needs to be going earlier than he is at 149.0, which is 14th, 15th round. I think you need to take him in the 13th or 12th round of your draft. And that also, if you didn't catch the podcast I did last week on rankings, tiers for starting pitchers, I highly recommend you go watch that one. And again, I apologize for the little glitches we were having during the podcast today. Also, leave a like, subscribe, turn on notifications, share the podcast with your friends and family that do fantasy baseball. We will have fantasy baseball episodes out during the season every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, along with all the other podcasts I do. And I would tell you this, fantasy baseball, the podcast will be going fantasy baseball, the 9 innings podcast, fantasy baseball. Those episodes will be out until August, middle to late August, because then at the end of August is when we start college football again. So, but for Alec, that is going to wrap it up today.